It's amazing when you see someone just elevate. And it seems like it's unexpected, but it's not. It's divine order. So Dave, your journey is in divine order. And I was blessed to be part of your transition team. I think you and Brett conspired to do that. But I enjoyed the experience, and I enjoy our relationship. And I know you watch our service because sometimes after service you will text me and tell me what I said. So I better be on my P's and Q's. But I love you. There's a saying that I want to correct. If you don't succeed, yeah, I've heard of that, right? If you don't succeed, you may fail. But the fail is human. And so you just keep on trying. But you never get up to the point to where you quit. I want us all to rise right now. And y'all know what I like to do better than anything else in the service. Affirmations, because they affirm who we are. And in those difficult times of life, you sometimes wish you had an affirmation planted in your mind so you could combat that thing that's telling you that you're less than. And so I'm huge on affirmations. They're in my cell phone, pasted in my car, in my restroom, in my office. They're everywhere. So I don't have time any longer, Dave, to lose sight of who I am and how powerful I can be if I just keep on moving up that proverbial hill. As Dave said, to the things I do, you can do them and more. And I certainly believe that. And so I always pick out people who I think are doing a little bit more than I am. And I say, I can make that mark if I get on that mission. It's no time to sit down. No time to stay put. It's time to move forward. And so this morning, the whole idea is to focus in on zeal, but to tear down those walls. Those proverbial walls that seem to be present. Anybody know about a wall? Raise your hand if you know about walls. Chinese don't know about walls. She is still on the honeymoon. Oh, I want to just put my head on my new hubby's shoulder. Because all is well in divine order. But Renaissance Unity, all is well? So let's say this affirmation. And it won't make sense right now. It might not be at the level that you're right now, but at the end of this message, I think you're going to rise to this level and need to go back and listen to this message. So you might as well right now take a picture of this affirmation because you're going to need it later on. That's as sure as I'm standing here. So repeat after me. I am. Oh, make me a believer, make me a believer, make me a believer. I am the embodiment of divine zeal. With every breath, I break through barriers. No wall of fear, no wall of doubt, no wall of failure can contain me. I overcome anxiety, stress, and self-doubt. I am resilient in the face of rejection, setbacks, and delays. The walls of procrastination, the walls of worry, the walls of insecurity fall before me. I rise into my highest self, my most powerful self, aligned with spirit in my divine purpose. Please tell somebody, I got zest and I got zeal, and I'm coming out of my self-imposed zoo. You may be seated. I said zoo because life sometimes presents you a chance to be in a zoo. All these people acting like wild animals, and I'm in a zoo. Anybody ever been in a zoo? You ever felt like you were in a zoo? I'm a pretty enthusiastic guy, wouldn't you say? And I'm like this most of the time. But then I get around the crazies. And the crazies make me feel like I'm in a zoo. And temporarily, I lose my zeal, my zest. Then I have to pick it back up with an affirmation like this. And so today we're talking about walls. And I think we can all be familiar with walls, can't we? Well, maybe not. Don't be premature in the response, yes. But it's amazing to me how sometimes we erect walls, and those walls are built to cover up our hearts, our emotions, our feelings. But over time, these walls that we build as a defense mechanism don't serve the purpose that they once did. Anybody ever built a wall to protect themselves? A fortress. But how many of you understand zeal? Now, Reverend Wilma touched on zeal in the opening. And now zeal is that characteristic, that power that gives us enthusiasm. It provides us energy. But at the same time, we need to understand what happens when our zeal subsides, diminishes. You know what I'm saying? Anybody ever experienced a zeal that was diminished? A case of diminished zeal? A case of the diminished zest for life? And you couldn't just grab a 5-hour energy, a Red Bull, drink it, and all of a sudden restored to high energy, to high zest, to high zeal. So this is what happens in this thing called life. I want to get personal with you, if that's okay. Because I always wondered about something, and I didn't have the answer until someone died, and my big sister, Deborah, shed some light on the situation that I had been through my entire life. I always wondered about midway through my youth, my mom stopped going outside. My mom stopped going to events that I had, after-school events in high school. My mom couldn't make it to my graduation. There was this excuse, and I didn't understand it. And I didn't know why. Because back in the old days, if you were a child and the adults were in a room and you happened to be in that room and they start talking about adult matters, unlike today, they would say, go away. Or better still, what my mom used to say, go to your room. One time, the adults were in the dining room, and they never were in the living room because the living room was where the good furniture was, and the good furniture had the plastic on it. Anybody ever grew up in a house with plastic on the good furniture? And so I don't know when was the appropriate time to use the good furniture because the adults were always in the dining room. And so this occasion, when the adults began to talk about adult things, Scenario check. We only had one TV back in those days. And so the TV was in the dining room. And so I'm there minding my own business while adults who came over were in the dining room. They started talking about adult things. My mother said, go to your room. Me being the person that I am, highly intelligent most of the time, I said, I am in my bedroom because my brother and I slept in the dining room. Remember that, Debbie? Tell the truth and shame the devil. The girls, I had 3 sisters. They all had a room. Mom and Dad had a room. Bobby and I slept in the dining room. And so when she said, go to your room, I said, I'm in my room. And she said, oh, you want to be a smart aleck. Anybody ever heard that? Oh, you want to be a smart aleck? Raise your hand if you ever heard somebody say, oh, you want to be a smart aleck. Right. And so on this occasion, she said, well, go to the basement. I'm like, okay. But what had transpired in her life was a series of things that allowed her to have bricks in her life. Anybody ever know what a brick is? Anybody ever been hit with a brick? Anybody ever threw a brick at you? Well, somebody's thrown a brick at me, and I've been hit by a brick. But that's just a metaphor for the kind of bricks that hit us in life. And see, my mother had these bricks that I didn't know about, but these bricks had formed a wall. And so by the time I came around, as a youth and as a teenager, she had this wall built. And because she had built this wall all around her, she couldn't get out. But the thing about a wall, once you put yourself in that wall, you can't get out, but other people can't get in either. And so in this scenario, she had been given away by her mother. I didn't know that. She had had multiple miscarriages, and I didn't know that. She had gone through a terrible divorce, and I didn't know that. She had had all kind of financial issues, and I didn't know that. And so all these things set the stage for her to have these bricks in her life. Maybe you experience bricks in your life. Those things that just are thrown at you, and they're a brick. And those bricks start to accumulate. And before you know it, those bricks have been used by you to create a wall. And it captivates others because they're wondering, why is he the way he is? Why is she the way she is? Why won't they come out and venture into a new world and ask for help? One of the hardest things for us to do as humans, the human condition doesn't allow us to do in most occasions, ask for help. And so what happens when we don't ask for help? What happens when we don't ask for help? Each one of those experiences of not asking for help reaffirms the notion that I need to plant another brick in my life. See, once you have that experience, it becomes a thought. And once you begin to affirm the thoughts through your actions, behaviors, and thoughts, and emotions, and feelings, it becomes another brick. And so we begin to layer brick on top of brick on top of brick, and then we find ourselves behind a wall. And you can't get out. And other people can't get in. Each of those experiences are a wall. We have those kind of bricks: abandonment, rejection, financial issues, disappointment, abuse, sexual molestation. Those things that we don't want to talk about, but they're a barrier to who we want to be. Can anybody relate to that? We all can. But the question is, Are we ready to bring down those walls? Today is the opportunity to address those walls and begin to bring down those walls. Is anybody in here ready to bring down a wall? A wall that you've discreetly lived behind for too long, and it's prevented you from really doing the things that you want to do, meeting the kind of people that you want to meet, holding the kind of positions that you want to hold. Because it's always a situation where I'm holding my tongue. I'm being quiet. Now you've lived a life of silence. You're too quiet. And you're missing the mark of where you want to be. So we ask ourselves this question: do we understand zeal? See, zeal is a fire. But zeal, being a fire, has the capacity to incinerate anything, to purify anything. And it can certainly dismantle a wall. But, can we all say but? A flame requires oxygen to burn. You understand that? Anybody ever heard a candle? You know, one of those candles in a jar? And you light the wick, and it's smelling. I like the aromatic candles like those. I have them all over the house. And I come in all the time with another candle. I like the scent of it, and Leah's like, oh, man, here goes another candle. But I always have this tendency to be in a rush, and the candle that I've lit, I go outside, and it's still burning. A couple times I'll double back, and I'll notice Leah will take the lid and put it over the container. And what happens? It goes out. And so that what happens with a flame that zeal is. And so it's too many times where we allow things to cover up who we are, and our flame goes out. So the question is, are you ready to ignite that flame and let it burn? That's an opportunity that we have today. Romans 12:11 says something. Never. Can we read this? Never. No. Proper way. With emotions and feelings to move mountains. Never be lacking in zeal, but keep your spiritual fervor serving the Lord. Now, because that word fervor is not a common word, I put in there what it is. It's dedication. And so if you read that again and you say, never, ever be lacking in a flame, but keep your spiritual dedication serving the Lord. And so when we say that serving the Lord, what are we saying? We're saying that we're elevating to our highest level of capacity. That's what we're saying. In that passage, we're saying, never be lacking in enthusiasm, zeal, but keep your spiritual dedication serving the Lord. So you ever heard the statement, keeping my mind stayed on? Keep my mind stayed on the Lord, Jesus, the Spirit. But it's our higher self that we're talking about at that moment. It's an opportunity point where we have a chance to lean in and say, divine energy, be constant in me and in my spiritual growth. And I'm moving forward in the direction of going to a higher level of elevation and away from stagnation. Charles Fillmore said something that I think it really hits home, because you started out saying, quote from him, and here it is, zeal is the affirmative impulse of existence. It commands is go forward. Zeal is the mighty force that incites all things to action, the eternal urge behind all things. Do we know what that means? Zeal is the affirmative impulse. And is anybody here impulsive? Raise your hand if you're impulsive. Let me let you in on a secret, Brett. We're all impulsive. And it's our impulsivity that makes us make decisions that we do. We're impulsive because if we took the chance to really examine, diagnose, dissect the choices that we have, we probably wouldn't make 75% of the choices. But it's the impulse that leads us to the impulsive moment where impulsivity leads us to making the choices that we do. And so its command is go forward. Can we say go forward? That's what zeal is all about, giving you the energy, the enthusiasm to move forward. There's a breakthrough poem by Cam Gibb that I think brings us home. Now, I pick out poets sometimes. I read a lot of poetry. But I try to pick out young people who are facing dilemmas in their life like we do, who experience walls at an early age because of some situation in their life. And so Cam Gibb wrote this: the walls we face are built by fear, but truth within is ever near. With zeal and faith we rise above and clear the path with light and love. Ego, pride, and shame may bind and keep us trapped within the mind, but step in faith and find the way. No wall can stand or make us stay, for God within our power, true, will guide us the thought to something new. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that beautiful? 14 years old. 14 years old. Been in 7 foster homes. When I met her, it was a day that we were passing out T-shirts, Brett. She didn't put on the T-shirt. And so I walked up to her, Dave. I said, come on, we're going to go outside and we're going to take pictures. We need everybody in their T-shirts. She said, I can't. I can't do that, Mr. McIntosh. I said, well, why? Yes, you can. Just go in the restroom and change. She said, I can't. I said, yes, you can. I said, do you trust me? I said, what's going on? She went in the bathroom and came out. And I had never seen anyone with arms with just cigarette burn marks all over. And at that point I realized that those walls that we talk about as adults are walls that start early in our life. Those bricks that just keep on building. And so when she wrote this at age 16, it's amazing. Because if you read those words, and when she gets to the second part, she says, ego, pride, and shame. How many of us know about ego, pride, and shame? Not allowing us to tear down those walls that need to be torn down. And so Cam Gibb is special. Cam Gibb taught me a lot. But when I'm thinking about her, I'm thinking about how do we remove those walls? Then it comes to you. The only way we can move those walls is if we challenge ourselves challenge our thoughts, our feelings, our emotions, and our behavior patterns. And so it comes down to the challenge: to confront, to counter, to conspire. Can we say that together? Confront, counter, conspire. Now, what does that mean? Confront. Address it head on. But it is that confronting. And remember we say, be not conformed to this world. And if we're not going to conform, then we have to confront. And we're confronting the thoughts, the feelings, and the emotions that we have about different scenarios in our life, those bricks in our lives. We begin to confront them. And we begin to say some of those things that we need to face that limit our belief, we have to confront. The fears, the doubts, the anger. And we have to come honest with ourselves. There's some things that I'm hiding behind that I need to get out of me and to deal with. I have to confront those things. Say it with me. Confront. Confront. And the next one is that we counter. If you confront something, you have to counter. Anybody ever been in a scenario where you say there's a counter and there's a counter offer? Somebody's offered you something, but now I need to make a counter offer. And so those bricks are situations where people have thrown something in front of you. There's a limit that you're facing, but all of a sudden you need to make a counter offer to that thought that you're engaged in. I need to make a counter offer. I need to replace the negative affirmations that I'm affirming constantly about myself with something different. Something that's the truth needs to be spoken. I am divinely guided. I release all fear, and I am aligned with spirit. Repeat that with me. Counter. Now say counteraction. Then the next one, after we have the confrontation, the counter offer, and now we must conspire. Can we say conspire? Conspire is that situation where we have something conspiring against us, and so we need to conspire against it. And so what do you do when you have that situation where you need someone else to help you, to guide you through the scenario because you haven't been able to deal with it effectively on your own? You need to conspire against it. And this is that thing where I say, well, sometimes we need a holy hookup. Anybody ever need a holy hookup? We all do. We always pray for a holy hookup. Something that we think I'm not ready for or I haven't prepared myself for, but I need a holy hookup. I'm always asking for that. I want to move bricks out of my life, and I'm always constantly saying, well, I don't know how, but I need a holy hookup, Adam. If I need some money, I need a holy hookup. We all do that, don't we? You got a bill that's due, it's overdue, it's in red now. Past due, shut off notice. Anybody ever got a shut off notice? I'm all in your business. I was just taking the survey. I didn't want you to really answer, but it is that scenario where we say, okay, I need to conspire against what's conspiring against me. And those people, those things, those experiences that have formed those bricks that have built a wall that I'm now living behind, I have to conspire against those things. And so I have to conspire in a way that allows me to get my zeal back. Because that zeal, that enthusiasm is not there. So now I need to conspire with a word. And the word that we do so well in unity is the truth. So the question becomes, are you ready to ignite that flame of zeal one more time in your life through the system where we confront, we counter, and we conspire? Can we say that together? Confront, counter, conspire. That's what we want to be at. There's so many times when we say, I hurt. I'm in pain. I'm weeping. We've all been there. And then we get that affirmation, weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. The joy is the spirit of zeal that's within you. Those bricks that formed that wall can be torn down. But you've got to be in a situation where you say, I'm going to confront, I'm going to counter, and I'm going to conspire. There's an affirmation that I want us to stand and do. It's funny because I spend so many times in the role of being a leader. And when you're a leader, you're constantly listening to issues, problems, dilemmas. Whether I'm in my role as vice president or minister or counselor or just friend. And what you notice about this thing called zeal is that people lose that zeal and they lose their energy. I'm of the mindset if you have the energy, it'll propel you into a different level of thought. And so this morning, I want us to move into October and November and December with energy, with zeal. I want us to feed off of each other. If you've got the energy today, spread your light. Because you can take a wick and light 1,000 wicks. Let's read this together. I recognize the walls that have kept me stuck. And I'll say it like you know it is to be stuck. Because we all know what it is to be stuck, don't we? So let's start over. I recognize the walls that have kept me stuck. And I call forth the divine power of zeal within me. I am energized. I am unstoppable. And I move forward in faith, in purpose, in excitement, in enthusiasm, and in expectancy. Every brick is removed, and every wall falls down as I rise in my divine power. The fire of zeal burns within me, guiding me toward my highest potential. Amen. Can you tell somebody, I'm on fire? Renaissance Unity, I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. Thanks for having me this morning, and God bless each and every one of you.